Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we get into the tactical details of the beautiful game. Today, we're looking at a really gripping UEFA Champions League quarterfinal second leg, Inter Milan versus Bayern Munich at the San Siro.
A huge game.
Definitely. And just before we dive in, remember you can find all our analysis and much more over at totalfootballanalysis.com. And for listeners who want the full experience, you can grab a 30% discount on a TFA subscription. Just use the code TFAPOD at checkout. That's TFAPOD.
Great offer. And this match, well, it had a fascinating setup, didn't it? Inter coming in with that slender 2-1 lead from the first leg in Munich.
Yeah, precarious is the word. All the pressure really on Bayern traveling to, let's be honest, a pretty fiery San Siro.
Absolutely, and the stakes couldn't have been higher. Inter, flying high in Serie A, dreaming of another Champions League final after that near miss against Man City a couple of years back.
Right, and then Bayern obviously wanting revenge, and the final being in Munich this year, they had to overturn that deficit.
Huge motivation for them.
So what we really want to unpack in this deep dive is what were the core tactical approaches from Simone Inzaghi and Vincent Kompany? And maybe pinpoint those couple of, well, absolutely pivotal moments that swung the tie.
Let's start with the lineups, how they set up. As pretty much everyone expected, Inzaghi stuck with Inter's usual 3-5-2. Very consistent.
Yep, no surprises there. Jan Sommer in goal, a familiar face for Bayern fans, of course.
Indeed. Then the back three, Benjamin Pavard, RCB, Francesco Acerbi in the middle, and Alessandro Bastoni on the left.
And the wingbacks providing the width, Federico Di Marco on the left, Matteo Darmian on the right.
And that midfield three, marshaled by Hakan Çalhanoğlu, sitting deep, sort of the quarterback there.
Dictating play, yeah. And alongside him, you had the energy of Nicolo Barella on the right and the experience of Henrik Mkhitaryan on the left.
Then up top, that dangerous pairing.
Right.
Marcus Thuram and Lautaro Martinez. A very familiar Inter setup, clearly looking to protect that lead with what they know best.
So how did Bayern respond? Kompany went with a back four, right?
He did, yes. A 4-2-3-1. Perhaps forced a bit by injuries, maybe. Jonas Erbig was in goal.
Okay.
At fullback, Konrad Laimer, normally a midfielder, was at right back. And Josip Stanisic on the left.
Stanisic. Interesting. And the center backs?
Kim Min-jae and Eric Dyer formed the partnership there. Then the midfield pivot, the usual suspects. Joshua Kimmich alongside Leon Goretzka.
Strong pairing.
And further forward, Thomas Müller, captain on the night, playing as the number 10, the Kiem.
Classic Müller role.
Flanked by Michael Elise on the right wing and Kingsley Coman on the left, supporting the main man up front, Harry Kane.
So a pretty attacking lineup from Bayern, clearly signaling their intent from the off.
Absolutely. Right from the first whistle, you could see Bayern wanted an early goal. They pressed high, really trying to force the issue, unsettle Inter.
And they did create a few half chances early on, didn't they?
They did, yeah. Some promising moments, but you have to give Inter credit. Their 3-5-2 shape held firm in that first half. They defended well.
It's funny, you look at the possession Bayern had, nearly 70%? Around 67%, I think it was?
Yeah, something like that. Huge amount of the ball. But Inter, well, they seemed almost comfortable with that. They were efficient when they did get it, launched a few counters.
But nothing clear-cut, really.
Exactly. No really big chances created from those counters in the first half.
Yeah.
So going in at 0-0, Inter would have been, well, pretty pleased, I imagine. Aggregate lead intact.
Then the second half starts, and Bayern, well, they seem to ramp it up even more.
Definitely more aggression, more intensity. But initially, they still struggled a bit. Lots of crosses going into the box.
Yeah, which Inter seemed to deal with fairly comfortably. Acerbi and the others were winning those aerial duels.
And winning the second balls, too, initially. That was key. Bayern couldn't sustain pressure.
So what changed? Did Kompany tweak something?
He did. It was quite a clever adjustment, actually. He recognized that the crosses weren't working and Inter were mopping everything up. So Bayern shifted into this more fluid 3-3 shape when they had the ball around Inter's box.
A 3-3 shape. How did that work?
Well, the idea was basically to always have three players hovering just outside the penalty area, ready to jump on any clearances, any second balls. We saw it clearly once. Kimmich collecting a loose ball with loads of options ahead of him in the box because they'd recovered it high up.
Ah, okay. So maintaining pressure, pinning Inter back.
Exactly. And part of that was about occupying Inter's three center backs. With three Bayern attackers positioned high and often inside the box, it pushed Pavard, Acerbi, and especially Bastoni deeper.
Right, stopping Bastoni from stepping out aggressively like he often wants to.
Precisely. He likes to defend on the front foot, and this limited that. And, well, this whole adjustment directly led to Kane's goal.
Talk us through that one.
So Kimmich got the ball, played it into Kane, and you could see the plan. Bayern attackers making runs off the shoulders, kind of targeting the defender's blind spots.
Sneaky runs.
Yeah, and DeMarco, maybe he was caught watching the ball, didn't get out to Kane quick enough. You give Harry Kane that sort of space in the box.
Yeah, he's not going to miss often. Goal. Aggregate level.
And suddenly, Bayern looked in control, didn't they? This tactical shift gave them a real grip on the final third. Inter's counters dried up a bit.
And they created more chances, too. Miller had that big-headed chance not long after the goal.
He did. Uncharacteristic miss from him, really. That could have been 2-0 to Bayern. Momentum fully with them.
But just when you thought Bayern might run away with it, Inter showed some real character.
Incredible resilience. Almost straight after Kane scored, Thuram forced a really good save from Urbig at the other end. A little warning shot.
And then came that absolutely mad 3-minute spell. 2 corners, game completely turned on its head.
Remarkable, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Let's break down that first corner, the Martinez goal. Bayern's defensive setup for corners under company, it's usually quite consistent. They tend to have 5 zonal markers pretty tight together near the 6-yard line.
Okay, a zonal block.
Yeah, plus 3 players assigned to track specific runners. But Inter, well, they'd clearly done their homework. Our analysis suggests they spotted a weakness there.
What was the plan then?
It looked like they deliberately targeted the gaps between those zonal defenders. The key was movement and momentum. Inter's players were shuffling, making darting runs towards goal just as the ball came in, while the Bayern defenders were more static in their zone.
Right, hitting a moving target against stationary ones.
Exactly. Lose your marker, attack the space, and the delivery was perfect, wasn't it? Whipped in, just over head height, right onto the 6-yard line.
Caused absolute chaos.
Total chaos. Scramble in the box, bodies flying everywhere. Bayern couldn't clear it cleanly, and the second ball dropped perfectly for Lautaro Martinez. Great volley, bang, 1-1 on the night. Inter back ahead on aggregate.
Incredible scenes. And then almost immediately,
they nearly scored again. Darmian's shot cleared off the line, led to another corner.
And unbelievably, they seemed to do the exact same thing again.
It looked like it. Same principles. Attack the space, use momentum. This time, it was Benjamin Pavard.
Against his old club, too.
Yeah. He got up with more momentum than the Bayern defender marking the zone. Met the corner powerfully near the 6-yard box. Header, goal. 2-1, Inter.
Just like that. 3 minutes, 2 corners, 2 goals. From being level on aggregate and under pressure, Inter were suddenly 4-2 ahead. Mind-blowing.
It completely stunned Bayern. You could see it. They looked rattled for a good 15 minutes after that. Really struggled to get going again.
They did eventually create something, though. Elise had that chance, didn't he?
He did, yeah. Got in from across. Maybe took one touch too many. Allowed Sommer to come out and make a save. But that save did lead to a Bayern corner. A chance for them.
And this time, Inter defended the corner differently, it looked like.
Yeah, they adjusted. Instead of the zonal line across the 6-yard box, they went with, 3 players in a staggered 2-1 shape near the front post, covering that near post zone more heavily.
Interesting. So how did Bayern counter that?
Well, Bayern spotted it too. They seemed prepared. They overloaded the far post area, sent 4 players over there, and crucially, they also threatened to play the corner short.
Ah, the short corner threat. To draw a defender out.
Exactly. Pulled one Inter defender away from the main pack inside the box. Then they did play it short quickly to Gnabry on the edge of the area.
Okay.
As Gnabry got the ball, all those Bayern players at the far post made runs toward the 6-yard box, dragging defenders with them, creating space. Gnabry whipped the cross back towards that now slightly less congested far post.
And Dyer was there?
Yep. Eric Dyer found himself in a 1v2 situation, but managed to get his head on it, directed it back across Sommer, and in. 2-2 on the night, 4-3 to Inter on aggregate.
Game on again. But despite that late goal, Bayern couldn't quite force another clear opening in extra time, could they?
Not really. Chances were few and far between in extra time. Bayern pushed, Inter defended resolutely. Sommer made that huge save from Miller right at the end, maybe 95th minute or something.
Yeah, that felt decisive. Tipped it over. And that was pretty much it. Bayern eliminated.
So wrapping it up, it feels like one of those games where, Bayern maybe shaded it slightly in open play, certainly had more of the ball.
But just didn't take enough chances when they were on top.
Right. And Inter, while maybe not creating loads from open play themselves, were absolutely lethal from those 2 corners. That quick 1-2 punch basically decided the tie.
Yeah, those 3 minutes were killer. Bayern got one back from a set piece themselves, but it wasn't enough.
So, implications. Bayern now, well, it's all about wrapping up the Bundesliga, isn't it? Disappointment in Europe and the Pokal.
Definitely feels like an underwhelming season for them by their standards, whereas Inter, this could be huge for them, leading Serie A now into the Champions League semis.
It could genuinely be their best season in quite a long time. Exciting times for them.
It really makes you think, though, doesn't it? We talk so much about complex tactics and open play dominance, but in games this tight, at the very highest level.
Yeah. How much comes down to just, well, nailing those small details? A slight tactical tweak like Company made, or, as we saw so dramatically here, just being incredibly effective from a couple of set pieces. How much does that truly dictate who wins these massive tournaments?
Something to ponder. A fascinating contest. And thanks for joining us for this deep dive today.